Where the hell that come from?
It doesn't matter. I want all my picks back, and I want David goddamn Putney just because I feel like it.
You're out of your mind.
Yeah, I am. Haven't I proved that already?
Yo, what's going on? Welcome into the Dynasty show. Normally with Bam, already pumping it out. Normally with Lucas and Dwayne. Yeah, how are you today? And I'm not going to be Lucas. I'm not going to dodge around asking how your day is going. So what's up?
Let's talk about each other for a minute. I'm feeling fantastic. I was just telling you before we started recording that the wife and I have been having a whiskey tasting at our house. We started drinking whiskey at about 11, and if you call it a tasting, it's real fancy and high collar. It's not that we're alcoholics.
Yeah.
So I'm going to keep that rolling. My favorite of the bunch so far is Bird Dog Black Cherry. If you can get out and get yourself some of that at some point, go get it. It's smooth and delicious.
Yeah, I mean that's a plug. My parents have been drinking on the patio, which I think they call that's kind of their excuse, which is fine. It's good. The patio's on the other side of the room. I get quiet recording over here in the corner. I'm plenty okay with that. We're rolling.
Yeah,
feeling good.
If you're drinking outside, it's not alcoholic either. It's just a nice summer hangout.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Sure. And then talking to the people that walk by with their dogs. Now it's become a social gathering, and
you have to. I guess in Florida you don't have to yell at them. You guys can hug, right?
Yeah. Well, basically, I mean, our governor's been very lax, but I'm very pro DeSantis. He's kept us within our freedoms. I like him. He's a good guy.
Ugh. Spoken like a true douchebag. I'm glad.
I don't fucking care about our governor. I don't really care about anyone. What I do care about? These four players and your four players, which I'm going to argue one of them because he's not a riser, but it's ADP battles. That's what we're going to be doing our show on today. Dynasty ADPs, guys who are a little bit too low that we are individually going to raise the value of. So you better go trade for them right now because me and Dwayne are going to hype up their value and they're going to go through the ceiling.
People listen to us. Let me take this shot real quick. Cheers.
Absolutely. Brother. I don't know. I have nothing. I have an empty glass. I have nothing. I don't come prepared for this. I'm not Lucas. I don't have a $200 water bottle sitting next to me. Like I ain't got that.
It was very fancy. He got a Busch Light. He's got a $450 water bottle, and he went and got a Busch Light when I told him to take a shot.
Oh, Jesus. Buddy's
comes with its own shot glass.
Buddy's
very
lost.
fancy. Jesus.
You know what? Hold up. All right, so I'm done with your challenge. Yeah, I'm back. I actually have a drink.
Ooh, you got that Blue Frost?
It's Gator Glacier Freeze.
Yeah,
I'm very big bird, bro. I got the Gators. Got the Gators posters going on.
What's the white cherry one?
No, that one's disgusting.
It's my favorite. Come on.
Terrible. Glacier cherry, right? It's
yes.
Gross. No. But we got the two Gator posters. Got to stick with the Gatorade. Stay on brand. Gatorade will one day plug me. Just kidding. Got a few empty ones just floating in the background. Don't worry about it. I think we should talk some Dynasty ADPs.
Yeah. All right. Let's do that. There are lots of guys, to be clear, like if you're drafting now, especially to me, we just finished 18-week long startup draft, rookies included. Those are my favorite kind. Just because with the rookies included, there are so many quality veteran players whose ADPs just fall off the earth and get completely forgotten about. So I think our topic today really rings for me when I was researching, just because that's what we've been doing, right? We've been doing this draft with the rookies in there and we've seen these guys fall. So I might reference that a couple of times where these guys are going in our draft versus ADP and stuff as we go. But yeah, it's a great topic. I love this topic. These are values you can get throughout the middle 8 rounds. I like it. You want to kick us off? You want to go quarterbacks and start us out?
Yeah. Why not? Right. I'm just going to go ahead and tell you right now, because I'm just going to do this move on air because I'm just like that. Guess what Tyler just did? He picked up a guy who he forgot to get in the draft. That's no problem. I have to drop 5 people. You know what? Screw it. Anyways, I'll get him later. Yeah, my first guy.
Taxi squad him.
Yeah, I guess I got to start doing that. So my first guy, Derek Carr. So am I a huge Derek Carr fan? No, not really. However, I am a fan of his ADP right now. He's the quarterback 31 according to Fantasy Pros. My quarterback 23 in my rankings. Maybe a little high. That's that's fair, but look at the weapons. Look at the weapons around him. He's sacked 8th least in the NFL. Doesn't sound impressive, but for a guy who's the 31st overall quarterback, I'm a little interested. Line is another year to mend. Remember, they put a lot of money and a lot of expense in towards that line to keep the running game efficient, keep the passing game efficient. Derek Carr was not as bad as we kind of sculpted him out to be last year. 100.8 QBR last year was the highest of his 6-year career so far. He passed for the most yards of his career. I'm just very much behind Derek Carr as a quarterback coming into this year. I think the weapons that they added were phenomenal. They added Henry Ruggs in the first, Lynn Bowden and Brian Edwards back-to-back picks in the third. It's really good for a long-term dynasty value like what we're looking at. They added John Simpson as well, a guard who will eventually take over incognito when he's gone. His 15-year veteran, I'm pretty sure, remarkable career, even with all the hazing. Way to go. They're built-out success for a quarterback to succeed here. I'm willing to take Derek Carr at the quarterback 31 or, even a little bit earlier just to ensure that you get him, to ensure that you get a guy who could potentially be a long-term answer for you, because he's still relatively young. He's 29, and quarterbacks these days last forever. So I'm willing to buy into Derek Carr.
Yeah, you got 7-8 years left. And people forget, like, he had an MVP caliber 3/4 of a season. That was only a few years ago. Like, he has the physical tools to get it done. Yeah. There was no fucking receiving core on this team last year. They've addressed that, or at least they're trying to address that. So I like it. Look, in my home dynasty league, I've got Derek Carr as one of my quarterbacks. Interestingly, my partner and I tried to trade him away, and there was no fucking trade value in this Superflex league for Derek Carr. I didn't understand why people didn't want him. So I guess we're going to hold him, which is fine by me. So you said he's going 31. Did you mention where you have him ranked in your own personal ranking?
Yeah, I have him at quarterback 23 right now. So
you know what? That's maybe even a little low for me, but that's about where he probably belongs, right around that 20.
Yeah, I mean, I'm bought into him. I think 31 is remarkably too low. I mean, now you're sitting with guys like Haskins, which I'm like, he's not. That's not a guy I'm buying at all. Kind of looking at where guys that are around him. I'm very low on Baker, but that's just a bias, so we'll pull that aside. But Ryan Tannehill's the guy right before him. Justin Herbert's the guy right after him. Teddy B, Jimmy G right after Herbert. I think that makes a lot of sense. I think that's a place where I feel very comfortable taking a guy who has proven it in the past than a guy who's on, whether it's a new team, whether they're a rookie, or whether on a team that's just going to run the ball in Tannehill and Garoppolo. I'm plenty okay with taking the risk on Carr in that situation.
Yeah, out of the group you mentioned, yeah, Carr seems to me like the obvious take there. People are going to take Herbert a lot higher because, like I said, rookies get overvalued right now, but Carr's a good pick there. All right, so for my favorite ADP value at the quarterback position right now has got to be Daniel Jones. Look, Daniel Jones going QB 17 right now, which is now this ADP has fallen off pretty bad in the last month, almost by a whole round. I want to say he was around quarterback 13 when I started doing some of my startup drafts, because I've done fucking 37 this year already, but he's falling off. I don't really understand why. I mean, if you look at the numbers, first of all, last year, talk about no receiving core. Like, who the fuck did Daniel Jones have? Sterling Shepard was there some of the time. Golden Tate was there some of the time. Now, I like Darius Slayton, but he was young. He was a rookie. Evan Ingram, stud tight end when he's on the field, but it almost never happens. And he wasn't there at all last year. Even Saquon Barkley missed time with Daniel Jones last year. But look, if you take the last 7 games of Jones's season last year, and you pace that out, first of all, he was the quarterback 6 in points per game over his last 7 games, and his 16 game pace in that 7 games was 404 completions, which would be second in the league, for 4,300 yards, which would be 6th in the league, and 41 fucking touchdowns. 41 touchdowns would have put him in first by a lot. That's really impressive. 386 yards. That's his rushing yard pace on the season too. So like, the kid runs the ball. That would have put him 5th among all quarterbacks rushing yard wise. Did he have all the rushing touchdowns that some of these guys have? No, but he runs the ball, which is a valuable asset in fantasy. Now I will say, like I said, the last 7, because that's after Barkley came back. So like the best player at his position in football, maybe Saquon Barkley finally back on the team makes a big difference. But Ingram was out that whole time. At least one of his receivers was out in almost every one of those games that he played. So they didn't do a lot to address that receiving core, but if everybody comes back healthy, you have to imagine things get a little bit better. Also, some O-line issues in New York last year. 7.6% of his dropbacks he was sacked on. That's really bad. That was 8th worst in the league last season. Football Outsiders ranked them 25th best pass protection line in the league. Really bad. So what does the team do? In the offseason, first of all, they go out and get one of the best offensive line coaches in the game, Mark Colombo, coming from Dallas, where he spent the last 8 years or so. With the 104, they draft Andrew Thomas to lock up one of those tackle positions. We'll see which side he starts on right now. They drafted 2 more offensive linemen, I think in the 3rd round and the 6th or 7th round. Brought in a free agent tackle in Cameron Fleming, who is a depth player, but he can get it done. He's a veteran in the league. They're addressing the issue to keep Daniel Jones on his feet, give him a little bit more time. And like I said, like everything that needs to go right it's happening right now. His receiving core is getting healthy. His running back's getting healthy. The line is getting better. And he showed toward the back half of the season. Remember, he didn't even start in the beginning of the year. He was drafted to sit behind Eli for a while, for 2 weeks. But by the back half of the season, he was firing on all cylinders, improved that team around him. And I don't know how he's not a QB 10 at the very worst, which is where I have him right now.
Yeah, I have him at 11. I honestly, he's definitely a quarterback 1 at the end of this year. I believe it. The rushing
and
value.
For dynasty purposes, this guy's set for fucking ever.
Yeah. So I'm kind of curious. So Patrick Mahomes, Lamar, Kyler, Russell Wilson, Dak, Josh Allen, Deshaun Watson. I think that's like kind of the clear top 7, whatever order you have them in. So I have Wentz, Matt Ryan, Jared Goff before Daniel Jones. Is Goff under him, or where do you?
Yeah, I have him ahead of Goff. Wentz is there. Yeah, I think Matt Ryan, Wentz, pretty much the same. I mean, like the top, however many 6-7 is the same for everybody. Yeah. But I've got Wentz above him, but just barely above him, to be honest with you. Goff is definitely behind him. I like Matt Ryan, I think, a little more than you like Matt Ryan, even though you got his jersey repping him in the background there.
I got him at 8. That's just right outside the top 7. So, I mean, I love him. He could be really good, but
no hate there. No hate there.
Yeah. As far as Daniel Jones, just kind of like a fun kind of thinking of future questions, especially when it comes to dynasty and startups. Who do you think like this year's class could turn into that Daniel Jones type? Maybe a guy, even though, the situation is not really comparative to what some of the other guys were going in this class, but like a guy who maybe people don't believe in at all and kind of think was a dumb pick that could turn into a guy who we're looking at as, why is he not a quarterback 1 now? Do you think there's a guy in this class or maybe of like last class that could turn into a Daniel Jones for this year?
Well, so like the weird thing about Daniel Jones for me is I was definitely a hater. The pick I thought was terrible. I thought Daniel Jones was terrible. If you look at his college numbers, wildly inaccurate quarterback. But the thing about him is like he came into the preseason. If you watched any of his preseason games last year, instantly from his first step on the NFL field, he was confident. He was accurate on the run. He was accurate in the pocket. He was accurate all over the place, deep down the field, things that he didn't do in college. So, like, I don't know where any of this came from, but that accuracy continued into his actual season. Like, he was a stud there. If you look at, like, so I looked at, like, some of the quarterbacks coming out right now, and I'm looking for a guy that might be a surprise, and I just don't see it, right? There's the top 3. Everybody else that was drafted not to get a starting spot. I guess if your question is who might, if they see the field, surprise us, somebody who's in a position that shouldn't see the field but might surprise us, I'd have to pick Jordan Love, right? Also kind of inaccurate in college, drafted not to start this year, probably not for a few years, but should something happen to Aaron Rodgers, I think Jordan Love can step in and do some work. To be honest, I think the guy who's going to play the most like Daniel Jones and look and succeed like Daniel Jones is probably going to be Herbert. He's drafted not to start on day 1, right? It's going to be Tyrod Taylor starting on day 1. But you think Herbert's going to be in there. Herbert's more accurate. It's got a better deep ball, at least coming out of college, than Daniel Jones. So I think it's going to be the best comp, at least in a rookie season. As far as situationally, I don't see it. I don't see a guy like that looks to struggle. That's going to surprise a lot of people.
Yeah, so
Good question.
I appreciate that. So so we'll bounce off. We go to the running back position that there's always those big surprises towards the end of the year, guys that most of the time it's a lot of injuries that open up opportunity for players. But when I was looking at this, I'm like, who's a guy who's not even being touched, like is being pushed to the side? And I found this guy, and he's a starter for a team who was the number 2 rush offense, number 3 in points per game. 51% of their plays were run plays last year, second in the NFL. This is a team that's aimed at running the ball, 32 rushes per game. And I'm just baffled that the running back one for this team, while it being a committee, is going at RB 35. It's Raheem Mostert. My 25 or 26 is around that range. He's a starter. I think he's the number 1. Matt Breida's gone. Matt Breida came in. He had 126 rushing attempts. He had 19 receptions. That's a lot of vacation. Tevin Coleman, he's going to take a good chunk of the receiving game. I really don't see Mostert as that third down back. I don't really think he needs to be effective. I think they kind of half-heartedly believe in Jerick McKinnon. He's kind of a wasted project, I think. I think the backfield's in the hands of Raheem Mostert. I'm very excited to see his opportunity grow this upcoming season. He was absolutely phenomenal in the opportunity that he did have from week 13 on, when he was finally given that opportunity at 89.8 points and 17.9 average in those games. Again, only 9 receptions. He's not the third down back. Can he get it done in the early downs? Yeah. But that's not what they're going to lean on him. But I really don't think it matters. He put up 6 rushing touchdowns and 1 receiving last year in that final home stretch. I'm very much believing in Raheem Mostert being a capable starter this upcoming year. And at RB 35, please jump around if you need to get a running back that's actually going to be a starter this year. Full send on Raheem Mostert right now.
I got some concerns. Okay.
All right.
First of all, at running back 35, that I'm not concerned at all. Like, I would take him all day there, because concerns or not, like, you're rolling the dice at running back 35. And if you could get somebody that ends up being the starter and carrying the bulk of a work on a team like San Francisco, fantastic. But I made a bet with a buddy of mine on my show earlier this year that come the start of the season, game 1, Raheem Mostert's not even the starting running back on the depth chart. And I think there's a strong possibility that it's going to happen. I think Tevin Coleman will end up being the starter there day 1. Starter is what it means in San Francisco, right? Like, it doesn't mean Mostert's not going to be on the field.
Jeff Wilson, right?
Jeff Wilson Jr., right? The issue is, look, yes, Raheem Mostert, each of the last 2 seasons has come in late in the season and been really impressive on the field. Looks like he's just got a better motor than anybody else on the field, offensively or defensively. But I want to bring up a name and just remind you from a few years ago. You remember what C.J. Anderson looked like as a Ram when he started playing in week 13 or whatever it was? Yeah. All of a sudden, he had a better motor than anybody on the field because he hadn't done a goddamn thing for 12 weeks in the season, where every other NFL starter had been playing for 12 weeks. Fresh legs, man. Fresh legs means a lot at the running back position, and it worked really well for that team and Mostert last season on a team that, look, I think you could step in and run for at least 3.8 yards per carry behind that San Francisco offensive line. Mostert is good and serviceable. I just don't trust him to get the volume on the team. So, like you say, you have him around your 26. I would hesitate to touch him anywhere near that top 24 just because I don't trust the volume. Again, I have him on my home dynasty team, and I'm excited about that. People have been trying to trade for him, and I'm holding on to him for a depth purpose more than anything else. Mm-hmm. But I'm just concerned. It's a team that's shown anybody that steps in there can do it, can be successful there. You said Jerick McKinnon is coming back. They were very intentional about restructuring the contract to make sure they could keep him. So I think they're going to give him some opportunity, probably that third down role you were talking about. Tevin Coleman, I think, is going to be the starter. There's a lot of history there with that coach. He's been coaching him since his rookie season in Atlanta. Yeah. I just think there's going to be an issue. At 35, I take him. 26, I hesitate, but well, definitely. I mean, I mean, if he can get to work, like that's you want the running back running the ball in San Francisco, whoever the fuck it is, for sure.
Well, let's play the game then. Keyshawn Vaughn. Do you take him over Keyshawn at all?
Now, I would take Keyshawn Vaughn
over.
I
do too. He's right before Mostert in my rankings.
I would take Vaughn over. Now, I don't know that, like for this, if it's a redraft, I'm taking Mostert because I think Rojo is going to be a little harder to supplant than people expect in Tampa Bay. But for dynasty purposes, yeah, give me Keyshawn.
Chris Carson.
Carson.
Okay. Devin Singletary.
Even if Carson and Mostert start the same amount of games, Carson's going to outperform Mostert and outtouch him.
Devin Singletary. I like Zach Moss a lot, maybe a little bit more than some people. Thoughts?
I love Zach Moss.
No.
Zach Moss was my one before the thing. This is where I'd hesitate a little bit because Singletary's never going to get the touchdowns. And there's a chance that Mostert's role becomes the goal line back on this team. So that would be a toss-up for me. I might end up taking a Mostert over Singletary, but they're right there for me.
He's Fantasy Pros is RB23 right now. So I have him lower in my rankings. He's 27 for me. But again, I think he's floating around those mid-20s range in my personal opinion on these rankings with guys that could lose opportunity, could gain more opportunity. I think Mostert's in the same situation. Kind of just my thoughts on him. I'm willing to buy him though at the 35 range. It's ridiculous. I think it will go a little bit higher in maybe in the next couple of weeks because I think people will start realizing his actual value. But we'll see. Very effective in the playoffs too. So that early that recency bias may play an effect with some fantasy players that watch the playoffs. So. Curious to see where his ADP floats from here on out.
The nice thing about him is like at the 35, it's between him and somebody that is a handcuff, like maybe a solid handcuff that might get some work, but the potential upside for Mostert is better than any handcuff in the league, maybe outside of Kareem Hunt.
Yeah, Kareem Hunt's right there too. So
but yeah, not terrible. Let me talk about my ADP value here, and it's David Johnson. Okay. David Johnson's going the running back 36 right now, so one spot even behind Raheem Mostert. To me, that's fucking crazy. Like he's my running back 20. I think he went 30 in our draft. Okay, so split the difference, right? He went right there at 30, which I think is still a pretty good value. I know last season David Johnson got ousted by Kenyon Drake there after he got injured, but he played 7 weeks or 6 weeks before he got hurt. And let me just bring everybody back in time a little bit. Before he got injured, that 6-game stretch before he got injured in week 7, he was the running back 5 for fantasy. Yeah, it was averaging 100 yards per game, 1 touchdown per game, 5.3 yards per touch, which was in the top 12 for all running backs at the time. Like he was a stud. Bottom line is when he was healthy and playing, and for whatever reason not supplanted yet, like he was a stud. When he came back, he averaged 3.4 touches per game, and he still missed 4 games altogether, still managed to land at the running back 37. So he's being drafted at running back 36. 6 full games, 3.4 touches per game for 5 more games, and he still finished right there. If you think he's going to finish there as a Houston Texan, you're a fucking idiot. Both of the running backs in Houston last season, Carlos Hyde and Duke Johnson, finished as top 30 running backs. And David Johnson's coming in here to take the Hyde role and the Duke Johnson role. Like he's not going to finish outside the top 24. That's maybe, let's say, the top 26. He will not. I guarantee you that. In fact, the only time a Texan running back under Bill O'Brien didn't finish inside the top 24 at the position was 2015. And that's when no running back played more than 8 games because everybody kept fucking getting hurt. Arian Foster, Chris Polk, and Alfred Blue all shared time that season due to injury. Obviously, David Johnson's more talented than all those guys. Arian Foster might be a toss-up, but Johnson can do more than Foster ever could, I think. I think David Johnson going to this team they traded for him knowing that contract was expensive as it was. He's going to fucking be used, and I think he's going to be fantastic. I have him as my 20 right now just because of the uncertainty. But I'm not surprised if he finishes inside top 15. 12 at the position, I think, is a ceiling potential for him. But at running back 36, come on.
So my core concern for him is very much built off of that offense. Obviously, the health. I think when he's healthy, I think he's very efficient, relatively. For an NFL back, quite efficient. Not in comparison to the top 10 guys, but I think he's very good. You talked about his early success in last season. My just concern is that rushing offense. It's not good. It's never been a piece you want. And sure, it's kind of where backs have gone to die. Lamar Miller, Carlos Hyde. It's unfortunate. Duke Johnson, eventually, it sucks. I held on to him a lot last year, just hoping some opportunity. They just don't utilize the running backs in the pass game, and really rushing efficiently isn't there either. It's not that I'm denying the David Johnson talent. It's poorly based off of just the opportunity I think he's going to get. Now, I don't have him at 36 at all. He's by 29. That's just built off the offense, and I don't think he's going to have a fully healthy season. So that's kind of where I fall. Yes, 36 is too low. If he's sitting there as the 36th running back off the board, take him. Do it.
Yes.
It's worth it. It's worth the damn risk. Unless you're sitting there with 4 or 5 other backs and you're like, I need other positions, that's fine. But if you have 2 guys and you just need that third guy to potentially be big for you, yes, David Johnson, fine with it. 29 for me, so 7 above where that ADP is kind of looking at. You're obviously a lot higher on him. I can't buy into the offense enough for me to want to boost him any higher than guys like Kareem Hunt is the guy right before him, which you may be like, yeah, he's a premium backup. Well, yeah, he's the premium backup in a fancy offense where they're going to run the ball all the time. So that's why I have him above him. We talked about Mostert. We talked about Carson, Keyshawn Vaughn. I mean, these are guys that are right there above him. Just kind of like the situation better. And
who are you taking, a Raheem Mostert or a David Johnson?
I'm taking Raheem Mostert.
Oh, I'll make you that bet all fucking day.
There's a 4-spot discrepancy between them, actually.
All day. Look,
so I have Mostert as my 25, David Johnson on my 29. So I
want to speak to the usage here just a little bit. Now, we can agree that there hasn't been a running back as talented as David Johnson on a Houston Texans team in a long time. Yes, if ever.
Well, yeah. Well, I think they've had good backs. They just don't use them correctly.
They've had fine backs.
Good. Yeah, but I agree to that. Yes.
I'm going to go back for the past 4 years real quick and just give you a little bit about their usage, okay? In 2019, Carlos Hyde in a split backfield had the 17th most touches of all running backs in the league. In 2018, Lamar Miller missed 2 games, still finished with the 13th most touches in the league. In 2017, Lamar Miller had the 11th most touches in the league. In 2016, 8th most touches in the league. They use their running backs. They use their running backs in the pass game. Get Hopkins out of there this year. Different story. The concern, though, is goal line work. This has never been a team that's utilized. We're talking about 21st, 39th, 31st, and 17th in the league in goal line opportunities over that same stretch those last 4 years. So if there is a concern about usage, maybe there. However, again, David Johnson is one of the best goal line backs in the league today. If they're not using him on the goal line, Bill O'Brien should already be fired. Let's be honest. He's a terrible GM and a whatever as a coach. But David Johnson is a fantastic goal line back. So his career success rate from the 5-yard line or in, 56% of those carries have landed in touchdowns. Doesn't sound that great, but that's third best. If you looked at all the backs from last year, there are only 3 guys, or fourth best, 3 guys that did better than that last season. I think there were 4 guys that did better than that in 2018, 2 guys in 2017 that did better than that. He's a fantastic goal line back. So if they continue not to use the goal line back, a back on the goal line to score with the rushing game, that's where the issue is. It hasn't happened in the past, but with a guy of the talent, I think it's got to happen. But they give the ball to the running back. They throw the ball to the running back. They always have. It's just always been a mediocre running back. So it's never felt really good.
Yeah. So quick shout out to Kai Fairbairn. Definitely pick him if you're in a kicker league. Sleeper kicker. Yeah, I'm going to do that to you. The red zone efficiency is terrible, and they just lost a really dominant red zone kind of receiver in Hopkins. Just the size, the usage of him, it's there.
Let's hope they start running the ball, and then they don't have to kick so many field goals. But, yeah, they were fucking terrible in the red zone.
Fairbairn, definite pickup.
Kaimi, baby.
Yeah, Kaimi, whatever. So we'll move on. Wide receivers is where Tyler gets a little homerish. but don't mind.
For the rest of the show, Tyler is
rest
going to
of the
get
show.
a little homerish.
Yeah, well, I had to. You got to go with the big man too. But we'll go to wide receivers first. My wide receiver is wide receiver 51 in ADP. Crazy, 111th in drafts. He's a sophomore campaigned receiver. Yes, he's coming off a really tough ACL tear. It's Preston Williams, my wide receiver 40. You may be like, wow, that's it's 11 jump, but that's putting him in the top 100 easily.
That's several rounds,
definitely. He's really good. The year one stat line was there, 60 targets over those 8 weeks. Devontae Parker only had 52, 28 receptions for Parker in that stretch. Williams 32. So obviously the early connection was not there. And we can all agree the best part of the Dolphins' offense, the most phenomenal aspect of their offense last year was in those last 6 games, 27.8. And I'll get into that more deeper when we get into my tight end.
Wonder who that is.
I wonder who that is. It's what is it? Jeez. Come on, I got it. The old Titans, the old Jacksonville tight end. It's fine. I missed it. It's whatever.
Jeff Swaim?
Yeah, no, it's Thomas. Yeah, Julian Thomas. I think he was with us for like a day last year. Anyways,
Jordan?
Yes.
Jordan Thomas?
What was that?
Jordan Thomas?
Maybe. I don't fucking know.
It doesn't matter. Let's keep
it
going.
Doesn't matter. So, yeah, the best stretch last year was in those final 6 games. The team was absolutely rolling. Was it against easy opponents? Yes. New England Patriots. Haha. Team was 4th in pass plays last year. So they were willing to pass the ball. Did their run game increase? Yes. Geez. Gosh, they have 2 capable starting backs now. Both a little injury prone, but I think that's why they have 2 of them. So the run game will be there. But I think a full season puts, and I did the math, puts Preston Williams at 34, wide receiver 34 last year. And he's going at 51 right now. If he had played all 16 games, that's not a bad slate. And that's in a rookie year. We forget rookie year. The guy's only 23. Yeah, he's a little older because he had to play 4 years in college. # Colorado State. You don't really get the attention. But undrafted free agent going as wide receiver 34 in a full season. Yes. So the fact that he's at 51 right now, I am plenty much buying him. And the team didn't draft anyone. Let's add that as the final take. They drafted no one. It's going to be him and Parker and Mike Gesicki, who we'll touch on later. But if that's it. So they didn't add anyone. I'm very much ready to full send Preston Williams. Just a little bit concerned on the ACL tear is all.
Yeah. So when Cooper Kupp came back from his ACL last year, the narrative was wide receivers coming back from an ACL take a long time to recover, and there's a history of that. But Cooper Kupp did not. So we've seen maybe some of the rehab technology has come along. Guys are getting better at this. Maybe Cooper Kupp's just a freak of a human. I don't know, but worst case scenario, he did it pretty early in the year. So worst case scenario, it takes him a fourth of the season to really get back to full speed, but people are all over Devontae Parker's nuts right now. He's going inside the top 10 at receiver, which that's where he was without Preston Williams on the field, right?
Yeah,
last year.
That's the thing.
But,
no Preston Williams, and in the most dominant stretch of the Dolphins season.
Yes.
Not to discredit Williams. It's not that he wasn't there, so they got good. It's just correlated based off they played no one, and their offense finally clicked because O'Shea was basically running out the door.
Yeah, so I like it. I think Preston Williams is a great selection way before wide receiver 51. I don't know where he'd be in my rankings. I haven't fleshed out all my rankings yet, but
yeah.
I'm the Devontae Parker owner in a couple things, and I spent a lot trying to get Preston Williams on my team because I think there's a fair chance let's call it a 30% chance that Preston Williams, not Devontae Parker, ends up the stud receiver on that team.
I think I'm going to be honest. If he comes back injury-free, I think it becomes a 45-55. If Preston Williams was the better receiver in those all the way to week 9 when he did go down.
Now, to be fair, Parker's targets will always be more valuable. He's going to be the deep down the field guy. He's going to be even the end zone guy over Williams. But Preston Williams could be a real PPR stud. I think under the middle, he can do a lot of work, a lot of damage. He's somebody people should be adding. That's a good solid pick there. Yeah. Almost as good as mine.
Well, real quick, just because I wanted to just do this comparison, give people the kind of mindset of what's going on in these ranges. I'm throwing away AJ Green. I mean, he's right around that 40 range. I'm like, why? Why is he here? But other guys, N'Keal Harry.
Now or die, maybe, but.
Yeah, N'Keal Harry's a guy. He's Fantasy Pros rated 40th guy, wide receiver wise, I take Williams. I do it.
Pure speculation on Harry with a unproven quarterback.
You got Mecole there, who is behind a bunch of different targets. Well, I do kind of back him. Denzel Mims, who
rookie,
and that offense is just not fun at all. Will Fuller's a guy I don't buy into. Yeah, great. Pick him for the 4 games he plays, but wait, only one of those games are going to be phenomenal. That's what he does. Like, no buy-in. That's why I'm just going with Williams. I'm like, he's very safe. Yeah, the injury proneness, but don't call it that. He just got a freak knee injury, and hopefully he comes back, because if he does, he's very, very good. It's the reason Dolphins probably didn't pick a guy for that reason. They said he's ready for week 1. They're fully going at it, the fact that they don't need another wide receiver. They're okay with those 2. Allen Hurns on the back burner, that's fine. Albert Wilson, the same thing. They're good with those 2 wide receivers.
Jakeem Grant, baby.
Raheem.
Don't shit talk Will Fuller too much. Do you know he had the highest single scoring week of any wide receiver in the league last year in week 5 with 46.7 fucking PPR points? Jesus Christ. Anyway, yeah, I take Preston Williams over most of the guys you listed there as well. We'll see about Mecole Hardman, but a solid ad. All right, let's get into mine. I have a feeling this is the guy that you're going to hate on me for, but you are wrong, and I am right. This is Mike Williams of the Los Angeles Chargers. There's another Mike. Is the other Mike Williams still in the league? I don't know. He used to play for Tampa Bay. Who knows if he's still in the league?
Mike Wallace, baby. Just kidding.
There was another Mike Williams at the same time. He came out, I think, a year before this kid from Clemson. But look, he's going wide receiver 35 right now. Again, I don't know exactly where I put him, but he's tickling my 24, my top 24 for sure. He went wide receiver 51 in our draft. Whether you like Mike Williams or not, wide receiver 51 is a stupid number, and I don't know how I let him drop that far. But last season, down season for him after he had 11 touchdowns or whatever it was 2 years ago. But, he still had the deepest average target distance in the league, 13th in red zone targets last season, 11th in wide receiver DVOA, which just means it's the difference of defense adjusted value over average. So on a play-by-play basis, how good is he relative to every other wide receiver in the league, according to Football Outsiders or whoever does that stat? 11th best on that stat. Over the last 3 seasons, there's only a handful of guys that have more yards per target on the field. That's Tyreek Hill, it's Tyler Lockett, Tyrell Williams, Gronk, and Chris Godwin. Those are the only guys that go for more yards per target. We know that Keenan Allen is the one on that team, but he is going to be a very expensive free agent next season. If we're looking at Dynasty, I think he leaves the team next year, and Mike Williams' value bumps that much more. The reason Mike Williams had such an incredible 2018 is because Keenan Allen missed half the year, and he became the guy on the team. They just exercised his 5th-year option, did they, on Mike Williams? So they trust him. They want him on the team. And the most interesting stat I could find about Mike Williams is this. Last season, Mike Williams was the most double-covered wide receiver in the league. 7.8% of his routes, he drew double coverage. No other receiver was double covered more than 6% of the time. So that is a significant jump, which tells me a couple of things. One, when you tell me, hey, he didn't have that many pass catches, part of the reason was because he was double covered more than anybody else. 2, when defensive coordinators sit down to plan against a team, you know what they say? They say, we have to do whatever we can to take Mike Williams out of the game because he can beat us by himself. This guy is an athletic freak, was in Clemson, was when he came out, still is primed to do big things. Last season in his down season, 1,000 yards receiving, okay? He's a stud. And, the team's going through some changes right now, but I think once Justin Herbert takes over, we can just write it off. Those two are going to have a love connection out of the gates. Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So Justin Herbert's not the starter yet. It's Tyrod Taylor.
This is a dynasty league, brother.
Yeah, I know it is, but I don't really know how bought in I am on the Justin Herbert deep ball, but I'll touch on Tyrod real quick. So in his last full season, 2017, with the Bills, it took him to the playoffs, right? I think so. Yeah, something like that. 24 for 68 on deep balls thrown, 15 yards or more. This is where Mike Williams lives. 35% accuracy.
So I'm gonna stop you right there. I want to refute that. No, that stat that you just gave me. Okay. Now it's not wrong. That was right. But two things. In 2017, when throwing downfield over the middle and downfield over the middle, he was trash. 39.6 was his passer rating. Throwing to the right or to the left on the sidelines where Mike Williams runs, he had a better than average passer rating on each side, 78.7 on the right, 110 passer rating throwing deep to the left in that same season. When he throws deep to the side of the field, by the way, that Mike Williams runs 75% of his routes from, 110 passer rating, it's fine. Next thing, that season where he was 35% accurate down the field, you know where his number one wide receiver was?
Oh, yes. Was that Kelvin? Was that the Kelvin Benjamin year?
It was Zay Jones.
Yeah, baby. The pride of East Carolina. That's mom's college. Let's go.
Do you know what Zay Jones' catch rate on that season was?
You know Zay Jones has the most receiving yards in NCAA history.
I believe it. The EC Pirates, right? Out there in East Carolina. Look.
Mom's college, baby.
Zay Jones' catch rate that season was 36.5%. Like, some of that might fall on Tyrod, but some of that fucking falls on Zay.
I know it does.
You can't find a job for him. I mean, he's got backup jobs. Lastly, and this I think is the most telling, Football Out. No, who was it? I don't know who does this stat. The Deep Ball Project. I think it's Football Outsiders does the Deep Ball Project, where they look at all sorts of things for quarterbacks on deep balls. They take out passes that were accurate, dropped but accurate. They factor in depth of target. They factor in all these things to define who is the best deep ball quarterback each season. That 2017 season, Tyrod Taylor was ranked 7th best on the deep ball of all quarterbacks of that year, right? So there were factors in there that lowered that accuracy percentage or that completion percentage. But if you take away some of those factors, Tyrod Taylor's fine on the deep ball, especially where Mike Williams likes to run left side of the field. Go ahead, continue.
Yeah, he had a 48% accurate adjustment. So he's middle of the pack, but it's fucking Tyrod Taylor. Like, the offense it's gonna be. It feels like what Carolina is. It feels like it's just gonna be a dump ball. To go to the tight end a couple times. I want to say this because it's not like I just hate Mike Williams. I keep doing it. I'm sorry.
Feels like you do.
I had him on my team, on my Dynasty team last year. I still have him in the league until they booted me out. # love you guys. JK. Yeah. Do you want to go into that reason real quick?
Yeah, bro. Why'd you get kicked out of the league?
Yeah, on Twitter I posted, is it okay for someone who sends you a bad trade for you to expose them in the league chat? And I did that, and they kicked me out for it. They saw that I posted on Twitter, so that's funny. Anyways,
you don't want to be in a league with guys like that anyway. Fuck those.
Yeah,
guys.
no, they're weak. Definite weak monsters. Anyways, yeah. So I had him in that league, and it hurts. Like, I struggled to want to start him because either he's going for 9 because he just catches one deep ball, but he can't get in the end zone, and it hurts. Or he's just not putting him anything. And it's just not, he's such a hard player to start because you want to, but you just can't. And that's where I really just struggle with him. I don't really know if that increases with Tyrod and Justin Herbert than it would have with the danger man, Phillip Rivers, throwing the ball wherever he wants. I just fear wanting to play him. And I think sitting on that wide receiver 35 range is like, these are guys you're going to want to either grow to a point where you can play them or give you that value immediately. And Mike Wallace just sits in the middle, and I struggle to get around starting him. So you got to reassure me here.
So two points here. The first point goes to obviously your team build. Team build always makes all the difference. What does your team look like? I always like on all of my teams, I like to get high floor, low ceiling, risky kind of wide receivers and balance them with high floor guys, right? To me, like, a perfect pairing, if I want to go late on wide receivers, is like a Cooper Kupp whose floor is as high as it's going to get, although he did a goose egg last year once. Cooper Kupp and a Mike Williams, to me, is a fantastic pairing because you're going to get points every week from one. The other one's going to win you weeks. Like, I like that a lot. My second point is this. Like 2 years ago, even when he had a really big season, Mike Williams was hard to start. That's because, one, Keenan Allen's always going to take targets away when he's on a team, but Williams was fighting with Tyrell Williams to decide who was going to be the guy there. Last season, there was just a lot of offensive struggles in general. That offensive line was bad. Phillip Rivers was all of a sudden really bad. Also needs that LASIK surgery. I think just the interceptable balls he was throwing all over the fucking field. But Keenan Allen is going to leave the team after this year, and Mike Williams is going to become a focal point of that passing offense. You can jot that down, save this clip somewhere. It's going to happen. And when that happens, his stock goes up. One of the things Mike Williams started to do last season when Tyrell Williams was gone, yes, he still runs a lot of deep balls, hitch and goes. He runs a lot of post corners. But last season, he started to run a lot of underneath stuff, crossing routes that he didn't do 2 years ago on the field. I think that increases this year as he grows more comfortable with that route tree in the NFL. As you said, we got a quarterback whose general tendency is to throw it a little less far down the field, but I think his route tree is expanding. I think he's going to start catching more focal point sort of targets on this team as the team gets ready to move off of Keenan Allen. And I believe in Herbert. I believe in Herbert's deep ball. He's got a great deep ball when he trusts it, and I think the coaching staff is going to get him to do that. But I'm all in on Mike Williams. Yes, do I want to balance him with a high floor guy? Yes. To speak to your point, he can bottom out and have some bad weeks, but he's a guy. There are very few wide receivers left in the league that won't get you a fucking 4-point week. Okay, yeah. There are so few at this point that I want a guy like Mike Williams where, yeah, he may get me a few of those, but he could also have a 40-point week easy enough.
Yeah, so just, quickly going over it. I mean, talked about the youth that you could take the risk on. Guys that are sitting right around that Mike Williams range. Henry Ruggs, Justin Jefferson, Jalen Reagor, Marquise Brown.
I would take Jefferson over him, and that's it.
Okay. I have Reagor above Jefferson. I'm not really huge in the Marquise Brown, and I really like Henry Ruggs too in a dynasty purpose. I think just going with one of those safer receivers, but my opinions on him maybe just be a bit skewed because I'm just heartbroken. I am. It sucks. It hurts. It's fine.
That's fair. Yeah. But you can't argue the fact that him going 51 in our draft was fucking stupid, right?
Yeah, it was. I'll give you that. I just don't bite the bullet at that point. Like why I wasn't drafting him. I've been heartbroken by him too much, and I don't
know why the fuck I wasn't drafting him. I'd pull up the draft board and tell you what I was doing at that time, but God, I don't want to ever see that draft board again. That was the most frustrating draft I've ever been a part of.
I was dying during it. I'm sure we'll do some kind of content on it eventually, but we'll jump on to the tight ends of the video, the final spot that we're going to hit, because Dwayne doesn't like kickers and defense. I don't know why. No. I would do it. I'm full send.
Give me your tight end home pick here.
Here, I'll give you my 2 defense and kicker selections of the year. You ready? Sure. Buffalo Bills / Chargers. Why Chargers? Bengals, week 1. Game over. Rookie quarterback, eat him up. Bills, I think they're going to finish as the number 1 defense. Don't at me. Kickers, Barron. We already touched on them. Zane Gonzalez as well. I'm just going with the homer picks of guys that teams that can't complete in the red zone. Fine, whatever. Yeah, you could say, yeah, the Cardinals got better. Okay, let's see it. Anyways.
Super. Great choices, both. All 4. Great choices.
Appreciate it. I appreciate it. Real quick. Just quick. Boom. Done. We'll clip that. Great. So my tight end is
now that we're talking on a fantasy show about kickers and defenses, I'm going to go straight from the bottle. If you don't mind.
There you go. All right. So we go to the tight end position. Stick with the homer pick because I said I was going to do it. And you know what? I don't break promises. Just kidding. I do. Tight end, number 13 in ADP. Why? I don't know. What do you think? This guy's really not a tight end 1? It's Mike Gesicki, baby. Mike Gesicki. You see that catch of him running through his garage, catching it on the street? Love it. That's tight end 7 for me. Where do I have him sitting? You got the core 3 above him. My core 3, at least. Andrews, Kelsey, Kittle. Other guys that I kind of have floating right above him. You got Ertz, Evan Ingram as well. And then he's sitting there with Hunter Henry as guys that I feel can go back and forth as the 6-7. I'm really behind Mike Gesicki. Now, Tyler, why? Why Mike Gesicki? Well, okay, let's do it. 2019 stat breakdown. He was the 7th tight end in overall targets with 89, while being very underutilized at the beginning of the season. So, yeah, we talked about it with Preston Williams. When he was on the field, yes, Mike Gesicki wasn't as efficient, but I think that's corely just based off the offense was struggling to figure out what the hell they were. It's why they had to get rid of O'Shea. It was just a complication. Their offense was so complicated they had to lower it down a little difficulty level, I guess. They bring in great, nice job, Tyler. You forget the OC, but they bring in a new OC to kind of simplify the offense. O'Shea was kind of running out the door. The last 6 games were phenomenal. During that 6-game stretch, we put up 27.8 points per game. Gesicki was averaging 13.4, 5 touchdowns in that stretch, 46 targets. So it was phenomenal when things started to finally click and come together. I see that continuing for Gesicki and for the Dolphins this upcoming season. Route participation's there, 72%, 70% snap share. He's not competing with anyone. Some offenses, just off of the fact that some guys take care of the run blocking, that they have to compete. Even the great tight ends, even the tight ends that we hype up all the time, Zach Ertz competing in a situation where there's 2 tight ends. Most teams run that 2 tight end system. Mark Andrews was doing it last year. He'll probably do it again this year.
3 tight ends.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the thing. Like, tight ends will compete for just value. And while, yes, some are dedicated to be the reception guy and some are dedicated to run block, Gesicki kind of touches on both, which is very good. It keeps him on the field. 3rd and deep ball target for the position. So he's getting the ball, and when he's getting it, he's going deep. I'm loving Gesicki right now at a value that he's going at. He's 6 above where the ADP is sitting, and I would have no issue putting him at 6 if I really wanted to over Hunter Henry. It's just more, I believe Tyrod Taylor's going to incorporate Eckler and Henry and more than Rivers did. I'm very excited for Mike Gesicki this year.
Yeah, there's a lot to like about Gesicki. It's Gesicki, by the way, not Gesicki. I don't know where you're getting that extra E from. It's written on the page in front of you, sir. But lots to like about Mike Gesicki. Like you said, he showed enough last year that I think there's a lot of reason to be excited about him. We targeted him in a lot of my Dynasty leagues. I didn't get him in a lot, but we targeted him in trade a lot of the places. Unfortunately, I don't know how his ADP is so low because everywhere I tried to get him, people thought he was the shit and ready for a big breakout season. So not bad, right? A lot of that comes down to Tua, who is going to start at some point this season. Do you, as a Dolphins fan, like, are you, obviously you picked 2 fucking Dolphins here, but do you think Tua is going to succeed this year right out of the gates?
First game, I am slating, I think it's week 11, the Jets. They come off a bye. Jets come off a bye, but the Jets are a joke of a team. So that's my first slated game for Tua to come in. I love it there. I do not want it any earlier. I wouldn't mind any later because they know they're not really going for a win this year. But I've been running schedule tests, and we'll do one on the channel. If you want to be a part of it, let's do it. But we've been running through every single game of the upcoming slate, all 17, and kind of doing that predictions. And I've had a lot of different skewed angles, me letting other teams win in some circumstances. The Dolphins are always finding their way into hunting into the playoffs. And that may sound crazy to you guys, but that's with like an 8-8 record, 9-7 record. Like the AFC is not that great. And I think you get down the stretch, Dolphins are either going to be in a situation where they're like, oh shit, we're sitting at like 6-4, and we're like, shit, maybe we could do something. Or they're going to be sitting in a spot where they're like, okay, 4-6, we could flirt with Tua, or we can keep with Ryan Fitzpatrick and hold off for Tua. Or they're sitting in a situation where they got like 2 wins, and they're like, fuck it, let's go. Why not? Why not let the rookie try? So I think it's very dependent.
I love you some Fitz magic, dude. Fucking leave him out there as long as he landed.
The team's good. Not really, but with B-Flow's coaching ability, yes, it kind of not bad. And they're simplifying the offense, so it's going to make it easier for Tua. Even Fitzpatrick, who's got that veteranship, figuring out that offense last year. Again, I'll talk about it a bunch. It was complicated. The team was struggling to be efficient, and we saw towards the end of the season when they bailed on that kind of coordination and how they were functioning their offense, they got better. So I'm very much into Gesicki. And then when Tua does step on the field, rookies naturally will lean on the tight end a little bit. They're a trusted target who gets the job done. I'm big into Gesicki, especially in Dynasty.
Gesicki.
Okay, real quick. Gesicki. Okay, me saying Mike Gesicki or Lucas saying Vaughn Jefferson. Like, come on, it's remarkably worse. It's terrible.
Well, he said Van Jefferson, but yes, you're both fucking wrong. And the bottom line is, when it comes to the English language and phonetics, which, by the way, my training is in the English language and phonetics. It's either right or wrong, and there's no degrees of right or wrong. You're fucking wrong.
Phonics. Hooked on
I
you.
do want to point to one other thing you're wrong about real quick.
All right.
And it was years and years ago. I don't even remember where I read this article, but it was maybe it was the 4x4 guys or 4for4 guys. I don't remember, but they did a study about the claim that rookie quarterbacks lean on tight ends because that's what everybody believes. But the fact is that their study found no evidence that that's true. In fact, I think they found that rookie tight ends or tight ends with rookie quarterbacks see less targets on average than the average tight end in the league. But
They need to stop that and give the ball to Gesicki.
Moot point. Like it's a small thing, but I did want to say it since people are listening because everybody believes that. I don't know how it became just part of the general knowledge of the fantasy football universe, but it's not actually true. I do like Gesicki there. Well, though I'm gonna hit you with my tight. Yeah.
Last take, real quick, because I'm so sorry.
Go ahead.
So, kind of in comparison to guys like Mark Andrews, he's a tight end where he's the top 3 target on the team. We look at Kittle, he's like that. Kelsey's like that as well. But Evan Ingram is debatable if he's the number 3 target on that team. Zach Ertz, he is, but then Hunter Henry, he's the 3 or less.
Evan Ingram's the number 2 target.
Eckler. So Mike Gesicki's clear. He's a clear top 3, and Preston Williams isn't guaranteed to be healthy all the time. So
who do you like better? Who do you like better this year? Mike Gesicki, because these are guys that I've got kind of head-to-head. Mike Gesicki or Hayden Hurst in Atlanta?
Gesicki.
Okay, so I've taken Hayden Hurst over Gesicki.
Where's Hurst?
A couple of times. I don't know where he is in the rankings, but they're right there for me when I think about tight ends in that range that I want them to.
Hayden Hurst is 8 is 11 for me. That's behind Fant, who actually probably needs to drop, and Waller's above him. Both guys questionable, but I believe in Hurst, but I just like Gesicki a little bit more.
A little bit more. Okay, that's fair. Homer. Let me hit you with my guy. My guy is like if you're taking my tight end, obviously you're taking a risk. It's Will Dissly, who's going as the tight end 19 right now. I have him as my tight end 10, and that's simply because when he's on the field, he's incredible. Like he is totally legit. Tight end 7 in a per game basis in 2018. He only played 3 games. Tight end 5 on a per game basis in 2019. He only played 5 games. He gets hurt a lot. He tore his ACL. He tore his Achilles. Now not ACL. I think it was his patella maybe. I don't know what it was, but whatever. His knee issue, not a concern for re-injury. The Achilles, on the other hand, you tear your Achilles, you become more likely to re-injure that part of your body. So is he an injury risk? Who knows? Like maybe these are an initial Achilles tear is a freak fucking thing that has nothing to do with your likelihood of getting injured to begin with. So he's not like an injury-prone guy going into this Achilles tear, but it happened. But he's a stud on the field, and he's Russell Wilson's favorite end zone target when he's playing. In 2018, 2 for 2 touchdowns on red zone targets. He's had 2 red zone targets, scored twice. 4 for 6 in 2019. He had 6 red zone targets. He scored 4 times, right? So you have two red zone targets in 2 games, in 3 games that scored, 6 red zone targets in 5 games, 4 of those scored. When he's on the field, he's scoring touchdowns. When it comes to the tight end position, you need touchdowns. That's what Will Dissly does. To me, when he's on the field at Russell Wilson, better than any tight end in the league. He is more reliable in the red zone and in the end zone than any other tight end in the league, period. Will he get hurt? Probably.
Wait, that sample size is terrible, of course. Yeah. Well, shit, he's 100% in the red zone for success rate. Shit.
8 games, 6 out of 8 touchdowns in the red zone. It's over 8 games. It's over 2 years. Not a huge sample size, but I think it's a big enough sample size. Half an NFL season. I'm comfortable with that. I'm comfortable drafting off of that as long as I have somebody else on that team. Go draft Greg Olsen if you're also going to take Dissly. I think it's fucking stupid that people are expecting Greg Olsen to start over Will Dissly at the beginning of the season, because if Dissly's ready to play, he's better than a 36-year-old Greg Olsen, period.
Greg, the third leg.
I think they went and drafted. Didn't they draft Colby Parkinson from Stanford in the 4th round or something?
Oh, they got the LSU kid, I'm pretty sure, the blocking tight end, right?
I'll bet you a shot right now they drafted the Stanford kid.
They may have. I'm not going to – I got nothing to drink here, but I thought it was
Because I wrote it.
Stevenson, right? Or maybe it was
Parkinson. I don't think he. The point is, I don't think he threatens. Jacob Hollister wasn't very good last season. Russell Wilson loves a tight end in the red zone, in the end zone. Will Disley is an incredibly efficient red zone, end zone tight end, and those two have a man love when they're on the field together. If you could take Will Disley as the tight end 10 and then go, there's so many tight ends around this range that are worth having on your team this year that he should be one of them. Like, don't make him the only guy you draft, but draft him way above tight end 19, I think, because the upside when he's on the field is worth it. Go get somebody after to support, right? Like, go take
Hollister's a fullback, basically.
Yes.
Greg Olsen, I don't hate him.
He's almost as old as I am, Greg Olsen.
Yeah, well, there you go. Well, you're ancient. So, guys, that's going to conclude a fun episode. We like to think we overtook Lucas's show. We kicked Lucas off for the week.
Fuck that guy. Fuck that guy.
Boom, out the window. Just got ejected, MLB style. Dwayne, it was a pleasure having you on here. Any closing remarks for us for the listen pleasure?
I think everybody listening should stop what they're doing, find a whiskey nearby, and take like 4 or 5 shots before our faces get off the air. I'll do one with you. Hang on. Let's cheers to the people. You can have your Gatorade.
Thanks, Dad.
I'm gonna go ahead. What's your favorite flavor of original Gatorade? Not the Frost.
So this is a common misconception. People are like, I don't think that was an original flavor. But did you know Citrus Cooler was one of the original flavors?
What color? You have to name the color, dude. Nobody knows the original flavor.
Now it's okay. So you got the lemon lime, right? You got the red. You got cool
yellow. You got red. You got orange.
Yeah,
That's
but
it's
actually it's a mix between the yellow and the orange. It's a citrus flavor. It's got some lemon lime thrown in there. It's got some orange. It's citrus. It's tropical. It's fun. We're fun here. I like that one.
It's not as fun as whiskey.
That's fair. Well,
everybody watching,
we're in trouble.
Shot glass. Cheers to you. Go draft fucking Mike Williams today.
Yeah, look at that little Gatorade shot in the little cap.
Smooth. So smooth.
Wow. I feel like I'm a 7-year-old. It's fun. What a great show.
Hey, who do you think's gonna win our new league? Who drafted best? Say me.
Not me, because I'm kind of terrified of this team, but it's fine. We got to make some moves. We got to get another quarterback.
All about the moves, baby.
Tyler Stratton, every single Superflex. Tyler doesn't ever play in Superflex, so his strat was, we'll draft one quarterback and be fine, because that's how life works. It's not how life works. What the hell are you doing?
I don't know. You're an idiot, but that's okay. You're still young.
Yeah, well, time to mess up and make mistakes, because I'm not as old as you, so those mistakes don't hurt as much. LOL.
You're right. Everything hurts more when you're older.
Tyler Moss NFL. Subscribe. Hit the bell. Like. Comment something
what about
stupid.
At Dwee's Nuts all over the place? He's
There
the
you
shit.
go. Know that Danny replies to our comments, so just light him up on Cowboys shit. Guys, it's going to close it out. Dwayne, thanks for being here.
Peace.
Boom.